Andy Warhol said, didn't he, back in the day, everybody will have 15 minutes of fame. And he was right. But that 15 minutes of fame is now 1 million likes on Instagram or Threads or whatever fucking flavour of the month it is now. But is it meaningful? So all those gurus that are on social media now with all the likes and putting videos on every 2 minutes of dancing and behind the scenes and all this shit that they're doing, and millions and billions of pictures and shit every day for likes. But what's the actual measure of success? Because somebody liking your work doesn't mean it's any good. Somebody liking your work doesn't mean they like it. Sometimes people, I've done it myself, you like something from somebody because you feel a bit sorry for them, or because everybody else is doing it, or peer pressure to like all the same shit. So where's the measure of success in that? There ain't none, is there? It's a short-term measure of dopamine. And what happens when those likes stop? What happens when those retweets stop? What happens when you post a picture and nobody likes it? What happens when you set up a new account and you only get 20 followers, not 200,000? Where does the success get measured then? So you kind of, what happens, I think, is people end up making work for an emotional attachment rather than a measure of great work. So I see it with upcoming models quite a bit. They'll post a picture of themselves from a shoot, rarely credit the photographer, and initially they'll put up the picture that the photographer's given them, nicely edited, whatever, and it sails along. Then the next day you see it again, but it's got a bit of a crop and it's been recoloured, or it's got something else added to it because it didn't get enough likes the first time. This cycle goes on to the point where you see them, maybe their stories are full of 50 pictures, all cropped, edited, slightly different, all the same stuff, because they're desperate for likes rather than desperate for one person in the industry to go, that's a fucking great picture, that. Who did it? Or for them to say, you look great on that picture, model, actress, entertainer. Can we have a chat about your work? They're more interested in that pow, 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 pow. Get me that look, get me that like, get me that fucking comment, get me that bullshit, get me that, oh, I need it. But it's shit, love. It's shit, mate. It's rubbish. It's not going to stand up. In 50 years' time, they won't be looking at it. Nobody will care. It'll be in the digital abyss. And AI will have taken over and replaced you all anyway. So where's the measure of success in that? That short-term emotional fix over long-term success and fulfillment, real fulfillment. When I post a picture on social media, now anyway, the last 5-10 years maybe, I don't give a flying fuck whether it gets 1 like, 2 likes or 2 million likes. What I like is when I get a comment from somebody in the industry who was new or who's been there a long time, who just says, nice work, mate, or great stuff, mate, or whatever it is. That's the buzz I get. But I still don't measure that as success. I'll tell you how I measure my success at the end. Keep you watching. And I guess then, there's all that stuff around making money, but is it ethical to make money? People who do, I don't know, let's say they go around photographing the homeless, which I've done, so this is not a slight at them. I've got 10 years of terabytes worth of homeless people, which I've photographed for my own personal reflection, I guess, is a thing. So I can look at them and think, fucking hell, what can I do here? What help can I give? Do they need help? Is it true? Is it lie? Is it fabrication? Is some of it true? Like, whatever it is. I have a couple of times in my photography career stopped and spoke to homeless people and gave them a few quid to allow me to take the picture. I guess so I felt less intrusive. I guess I felt less like I was just taking the piss out of them, or I was using them for my own gratification. But I've never done anything with those pictures. They're all in my hard drive, and I was always toyed with the idea of maybe doing a book or a show and using the money to raise money for homeless. But then I think, again, am I just exploiting them? Is it ethical for me to make money, even for them, at their expense? I'm not so sure it is. Some people would say it is, but I do have an addiction of photographing them because it interests me. The faces, their spaces, the places, how people bypass them. Are they genuinely homeless? Are they not? Are they charlatans trying it on? Sometimes they are. Most of the time they're not. What's their story? How did they get there? As a storyteller, I love that stuff. I hate that it has to happen and those stories are even there to be told, but I just don't know what to do with it. But I could, if I was a bastard, just go, all right, I'm one of the most successful homeless people photographers you've ever met. Why? Because I've shot all these people, I made a book and I made £1 million off it. Is that success? For me, it wouldn't be. Yeah, it'd be financially successful, but that's not how I equate my success. So it's a very poignant thing to think about, isn't it? So yeah, there's those ethical considerations if you're thinking about whatever it is you're photographing. Another example would be, doesn't happen often, but I've heard it, photograph a model. Before glamour was kind of like turned on and cancelled by the wokies, when you used to have really healthy, good-looking, what you might term fit models modelling for money, showing their figures off for money. Nothing wrong with that at all. To get cancelled because it's against women, which it wasn't. Let's say you do a topless photo shoot, page 3 style with a model. She comes in, you do the work, you pay her money, good money I hope. You get the pictures, you then go and put them in a porn magazine and make a lot more money than what you've paid her, and you've sold her the shoot on false pretenses. A lot of that used to go off, not so much now, not since they cancelled most of that stuff anyway, but I'm sure those kind of things still do go on in other genres. But is that successful? Can that be deemed successful? I made a lot more money than I thought I was going to do because I've duped this young girl. She got paid. I've heard lots of those stories over the years. I've got more morals than that. And I care not about any of that. I care about well-being. I care about people being treated with kindness and fairness. And, if you're going to make pictures of somebody, you do with them what you said you were going to do, not anything else. So for me, that making money like that would not feel meaningful. But there are a lot of unscrupulous photographers out there who would love that shit. And I guess that then leads you to, if we'll come back to that question then. I'll just make a little note of that because I want to come back to that. It's too early to talk about that yet. So, if you go out and talk to photographers, which I do, I talk to them a lot. Normally, younger students, inexperienced, want to be fake. They want to be, make loads of money and be famous. Because they've seen it on Instagram, the influencers, the big wigs, all that. They've seen the dream. I soon make them realise that photography shouldn't be about that, and it's not about that. And if they get that, that's great, but don't pin your hopes on it being that, because it won't be. My question I often ask photographers, not just students but all photographers, is when did you feel most successful? When you took a picture or a set of pictures or whatever it was, what was it that made you feel most successful than anything? What was the most successful you ever felt as a photographer? And given I've got 20 years and 15 million terabytes of the pictures to think about, it's difficult for me to say. There are key moments when I go, that shoot was just fucking awesome. And I've had a lot of real good shoots like that, particularly in the late 2000s, early 2010s, 12, 13s, 14s, when I was doing a lot of people work. Made some great pictures, probably my best work, got a lot of satisfaction. If I had a measure of anything, 7 or 8 year period, and when I was really busy doing that if I measured my success against that, I'd be happy. Too many to pin down to one. But then I think the nights I spent in my back garden laid down or sat in a chair looking up at the stars with long exposures and just breathing it all in and making good pictures and selling, having them on my gallery wall, selling them. And even what would it be now, 2008, we used to have a couple of cooling towers at Sheffield near where I live. It used to be called Tinsley Towers. They used to call them the pepper pots because they looked like two pepper pots, and they were demolished in 2008, and me and my dad and my brother went up there to watch them demolish them because they're iconic. But I took my cameras and videoed it and took stills, and I still sell those pictures now. Measure of success. Went up for a bit of fun with my dad and my brother. Drove round Rotherham for an hour before, getting them from different angles. Still have them listed on Etsy. Sell them now and again. You don't even realise they're there. Then a sale will come through. Measure of success, absolutely. So yeah, measuring success like that, it's easy. I mean, when I took those pictures, I didn't do them to sell them. I just did them for the love of doing it. And to have a couple of hours out with me dad and my brother, being a bit daft. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. In fact, I'm sure somewhere on an old YouTube channel of mine, they're still on YouTube. If you search something like Tinsley Viaduct demolition, you might find it. Anyway, another story.